Hello everyone, I am Nishu and in my today's lecture I am going to proceed ahead with the kingdom Protista with a new characteristic feature of Protistants, which is your reproduction. Children, till yet we have discussed about different characteristic features like your nutrition we have discussed, respiration process we have discussed, habitat we have discussed. Now moving ahead with the new topics, new characteristic features which are possessed by organisms belonging to kingdom Protista. So now let us begin with reproduction. Now children, in the group of Protistants, your asexual reproduction as well as sexual reproduction, both the mode of reproduction occurs. Now children, in the later part we will be discussing both the modes separately, individually. But here an introduction to the topic is that during asexual mode, how does it occur? So asexual mode occurs through binary fission and it occurs through spore formation. These two processes we will be discussing in detail. Now sexual mode. Sexual mode, by the method only you are understanding that two sexes are required. So children, here in the sexual mode of reproduction, the main process, the main step, that is your zygote formation occurs. Zygote is formed during the sexual mode of reproduction. And you know that how zygote gets formed? They get formed by the fusion of haploid gametes, male and female gametes. They fuse together to form a zygote. And children, this zygote formation occurs through a fusion process, and that fusion process is called as Oogamy. Now children, till here you are knowing it, that how during sexual reproduction two opposite sexes meet, how they fuse together, what is Oogamy, how zygote formation takes place, you are knowing it. Here in this process, I am not going to discuss these 3 points, but what is the main thing which I will be discussing in detail is that Oogamy is of 3 types. There are 3 processes by which your Oogamy occurs. There are 3 methods by which your Oogamy occurs. And these 3 processes are your Isogamy, Anisogamy and Oogamy. Now let us proceed with the asexual reproduction mode which occurs among the Protistants. This is one of the most common method which occurs in the organisms of kingdom Protista. Now, it occurs during favorable condition. What do you mean by favorable condition? When an organism is getting proper nutrition, proper temperature, it means that an adequate environment is facilitated to the organism which will enhance the growth and development of a particular organism, in which the organism will grow very nicely. That conditions are called as favorable conditions. So your asexual mode of reproduction occurs during the favorable condition. Now your asexual reproduction, as I told you a few minutes back, that it is of 2 types. The first one is binary fission and the second one is spore formation. I will be discussing both of them. So binary fission. Now what do you mean by binary? Binary word means 2. This term means 2. And fission word means division. It means that the parent organism is going to divide into 2 parts. Binary fission, 2 divisions. Now here one mother cell, suppose one mother cell is there, and this one mother cell is going to divide into 2 cells. And how? By following 2 steps, by following 2 processes, and those 2 processes are karyokinesis and the second one is cytokinesis. By following these 2 processes, karyokinesis, karyo means nucleus, kinesis means division, cyto means cytoplasm and kinesis means division. So one mother cell is going to divide into 2 daughter cells by following the division of nucleus and thereafter completing the division of cytoplasm. So after passing through these 2 steps, one mother cell divides to form two daughter cells. So these type of division is called as binary fission. Now these two daughter cells, which are now daughter cells, they will grow, they will develop, and they will become mature. And by the similar process later on, this one daughter cell will behave like a mother cell. This will behave later on as a mother cell, and they will follow the same process again, the division of karyokinesis and cytokinesis, and hence again from these two daughter cells later changing into mother cells will again reproduce two daughter cells. So what does the theory says? Theory says that two daughter cells are formed by the division of a mother cell. So two daughter cells are formed from one mother cell following karyokinesis and cytokinesis, and two daughter cells grow to form a normal organism. So these two daughter cells which are formed, which are reproduced from the mother cell, will grow, will develop, and again become a mature. Hope this point is clear to you all. Now I will be proceeding to the next part of the asexual reproduction, which is your spore formation. Now next is spore formation. By the name only we come to know that there some spore-like structures are going to be formed here in this process. Now what do you mean by spore? Spores means small microscopic seed-like structures. The meaning of spore can be considered as a very small, very microscopic seed-like structures. So here in this process, this microscopic seed-like structures are going to be formed. Now how they will be formed, I will be explaining you with the help of diagram. But let us first go through the theory, that what does theory says. Protistans have a specific structure called as sporangia. Now this is one important part, that where your spores are going to be formed, where they are going to be get developed. So these seed-like structures, these spore-like structures are going to be developed within a specific structure called as sporangia. And this sporangia is a small fruit-like structure, we can call it. Now this is a fruiting body. This is a small fruiting body, small fruit. Now a small fruit is there, and in that fruit your seeds are found, seeds are present. So this sporangia is a fruiting body within which your small microscopic seed-like structures, spores, are going to develop. So your sporangia is a specific structure. Now these spores are formed in this sporangia. Then sporangia burst. It means that this fruiting body gets burst after some time on becoming mature, and all the spores become free. So when the sporangia is immature, so during that condition your spores are filled within the sporangia. But when sporangia gets well developed, it becomes mature, the sporangia wall gets burst out, and all the spores, all the seed-like structures filled within it, they are released out into the environment, and after releasing into the environment, the released spores form a new cell or organism after germination. So again, these spores which are released from the sporangia into the environment, they will grow, they will become mature organism, and they will again be ready to reproduce by the same procedure. Now here let us see that what is the structure of sporangia and how the spores are formed within that. Now here, suppose that I am not going to draw the whole structure of the organism, and I will just explain the fruiting body, I will just explain the structure of sporangia. Now suppose this is a sporangia, and within this sporangia, within this fruiting body, a nucleus is present. Now during favorable condition, again I am using the word favorable condition, when proper humidity is there, proper moisture is there, temperature is there, proper food, proper nutrition the fruiting body is getting, sporangia is getting, what will happen then? At that time your fruiting body, your sporangia will grow. It will be flourishing very nicely. So during that condition, outside this sporangia, a protective wall gets developed, and this protective wall is called as cyst. This is called as cyst, and this is a protective wall. Why this protective wall is formed? This protective wall cyst gets developed during the favorable condition so that the inner content of the sporangia can develop and none of the external factors can harm the growth and development of this sporangia, of this fruiting body. From outside, none of the external factors can harm the growth of this sporangia. So, by itself in nature, the Protistans, the sporangia, they have that nature to develop a protective wall around it, and that protective wall is called as cyst. Always remember that this cyst is prepared during the favorable condition when the growth is proper. Now, within this sporangia, this nucleus is present, and this nucleus will undergo the karyokinesis and cytokinesis process. Hope you remember it. I have discussed few minutes back in binary fission that this nucleus will undergo karyokinesis, division of nucleus. Now this nucleus will divide into multiple number of nuclei. So many number of nuclei will be developing inside. So the sporangia develops into multinucleated structure. Now what will happen later on, that all these nuclei will be enclosed by the cytoplasm, and this will become a singular body. They will develop into single body, single structure, and this single body, this single structure is called as spores. So inside, your multiple number of spores will be developing, and in this way your many spores will be developing inside the sporangia. Now what will happen? A pressure will be created inside, and this sporangia, this spores will now try to move outside. So what will happen? Due to the pressure here which is exerted, that pressure will be exerted on the wall of the sporangia and the wall of the cyst, and as a result this wall will get burst, and when the wall will get burst, I told you that all the spores will be released into environment. So all the spores will be released into environment, and on getting a better habitat, a better place to grow, these spores in the environment will grow like a better cell, like a mature organism, and they will flourish their life cycle. And after that, they will again get prepared to repeat this cycle, the spore formation method of asexual reproduction. Hope children, this spore formation topic was clear to you. Now I will be moving to the next process of reproduction, next mode of reproduction, which is sexual reproduction. Now moving to another important method of reproduction, that is your sexual reproduction. Now this sexual reproduction was observed among the Protistants for the first time. Among all the kingdoms, these Protistants were the first organisms in which your sexual reproduction was observed. Now I have discussed this, that among Protistants, during this process, two haploid gametes are formed, and these two haploid gametes, they fuse together to develop diploid zygote, and this diploid zygote, this formation takes place due to process of fusion called as syngamy. Now this is not the part of our discussion. We will be discussing the three important processes of syngamy, which is your isogamy, Anisogamy and Oogamy. Now let us move with the first process, isogamy. Now the first process of syngamy process is isogamy. Here we are going to discuss about that what do you mean by isogamy? Children, this is made up of two words, iso and gamy. The word gamy means gametes and iso means similar. Similar in what? Morphologically similar. The gametes here will be morphologically similar. They will be same in size, shape, structure. They will be completely similar to each other. Now I told you that sexual reproduction is a process where your two haploid gametes, they fuse together to develop a diploid zygote. So both the gametes, haploid gametes, they need to be similar in shape, size and structure. So here your morphologically the gametes are, fusing gametes are similar in shape, size and structure, but physiologically they are dissimilar or they may be similar also. Now what do you mean by physiologically? Physiological means that functionally or genetically. Structurally, according to shape, according to size, according to structure, morphological structure, the gametes are similar. But what? More physiologically, they are dissimilar or they may be similar too. So functionally and genetically they may be same or they may be different. So here both the gametes, if I draw a structure to explain you all, if I take one of the gamete, this is a male gamete and this is the second, this is also a female gamete. You can see that this is a male and this is a female. This is a female, male and female gamete. Now here you can see that they are both same in size, same in shape. So this type of structure is called as morphologically similar. But in spite of being similar in structure, shapes, color, they are different in functions. They are different in having genetical structures, chromosomes and DNA structures. That is why this type of syngamy process is called as isogamy. Again I repeat that in this type of process, gametes are morphologically similar but physiologically dissimilar or they may be similar. But children, if they are dissimilar, physiologically dissimilar, then that type of isogamy process is called as physiologically anisogamy. Again, I'll be moving on to the next, that is your anisogamy. Now let us move with the second process of syngamy, which is your anisogamy. Now it is a vice versa of isogamy. What did we discuss in isogamy? That the fusing gametes are morphologically similar and physiologically dissimilar. And what we are going to discuss here is that here the fusing gametes are dissimilar. How? Morphologically. In syngamy, always remember these are the comparative points. During isogamy, morphologically the fusing gametes are similar. And in anisogamy, the fusing gametes are morphologically dissimilar. But when we talk about physiological structures, then your fusing gametes are, in isogamy, they may be similar or they may be dissimilar. And same thing is here in anisogamy too. Here also physiologically the gametes can be similar or they can be dissimilar. Here how the morphological differences are there? Morphological differences can be that one of the gamete can be big, another can be small. One of the gamete can be having your flagella on the body, small cilia on the body which can help them to move, and the other would be non-motile. So morphologically this type of fusing gametes are dissimilar, but physiologically they can be similar or they can be dissimilar. So difference between isogamy and anisogamy was this. Now let us move to the third process of syngamy, which is oogamy. Now moving to oogamy. Now this oogamy can be considered one of the type of anisogamy. How? Why? Because what did we discuss in anisogamy? That morphologically the fusing gametes are dissimilar. What is here also? The same thing. That here even the fusing gametes are morphologically dissimilar. How? Now here two fusing gametes are male gamete and the female gamete, as in all the types we have discussed. So here the male gamete is small in shape, small in structure, and they are motile, it means that they are having flagella. And when we consider the female gamete is large in shape, it is big in shape, size, structure, and they do not have flagella, so they are immotile, they are non-motile. Again I repeat it, that in oogamy, two fusing gametes are dissimilar morphologically to each other. Male gamete is small and they are motile, they can move, and female gamete is large and they are non-motile. Now, here in this case, the male gametes are considered as sperm and the female gametes can be considered as egg. And these two gametes, when they fuse together, they form a diploid zygote, and that zygote develop into a mature organism. Now children, this is what we developed over here in oogamy. Now we will be moving to the next part, that is your life cycle of the Protistans.